Hello and welcome to Big Picture. I'm Vishal Dahiya, and today in Big Picture we're going to talk about agriculture reforms, specifically about two bills which have been passed by the Rajya Sabha today, namely the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020 and the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill 2020. How these two bills constitute majority of reforms in the agriculture sector, which have been spoken about for so long. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Professor Ramesh Chand, member, Niti Ayog, Agriculture. We also have with us Mr. Lok Sinha, former Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, and Mr. Sandeep Das, Senior Consultant with ICRIER. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Rajya Sabha TV. Let me begin with you, Professor Chand, if you could take us and our viewers through some salient provisions of these two bills, indicating as to how these provisions will bring in those reforms in the agriculture sector.
Thank you, Dahiya ji. First, to Central Trading Act, except 2-3 states, in all other states, there is a APMC Act. That act governs the rules regarding sale and purchase of notified commodities. And according to APMC rule, a farmer is required to bring his or her produce to principal yard or sub yard or any area declared by APMC as a market for its sale. So farmer, whether he or she likes to sell their produce at the farm gate, in some other city, in some other state, or to some trader, processor, that freedom is not there according to APMC Act. So I repeated that according to rules of APMC Act, every farmer is required to sell their produce only and only through APMC channels, no other channel. So you take their produce, then auction will happen, and then produce will be sold. From last 18 years, this was being discussed that the changes in this APMC Act are required. Farmer need to give wider option. He need to have choice. He should not have a force that he or she has to sell the produce only through one system. So this new act gives this long sought after freedom to the farmers, that you are free, you can enter into agreement with a private trade and ask him to buy your produce at the farm gate, in your home, or wherever you want. Secondly, they have option, the private people can offer to them, you can deliver your produce in my factory, you can deliver your produce in my warehouse, or you can deliver your produce in any other designated area based on the price which is agreed between the two parties.
Okay.
Dahiya sir, you will be knowing one complaint of the farmer that agriculture is the only commodity where farmer cannot dictate his price. He is a price taker in the system of auction in APMC Mandi. But according to this new act, farmer can bargain. That somebody tell him, I will buy your wheat at this rate. He can say, no, sorry gentlemen, my wheat is of good quality, I want to sell it at a little higher rate. So through bargaining, that option is there.
Okay.
Thirdly, provision for electronic platform. You know, these days e-commerce is getting popular. So private player will set up e-platform where farmer can register. This is their produce which they would like to sell. This is their reserve price. Above that they would like to sell. That is the third provision which has been created.
Okay.
Next, a farmer or farmer group can act both as a producer of commodity and also as a trader of the commodities, if they satisfy the only simple condition that you have a permanent account number. If you are individual, if you are a producer group, FPO, cooperative, then even permanent account number is not required. So far, farmers have remained only as producers, but according to the new act, they can themselves become traders. Their own children can integrate produce, collect the produce, take it to market, take it to consumer, take it to city, take it to other state, wherever. So entire ecosystem which free farmer completely from his winding to the APMC has been removed.
Okay.
If the farmer so wish, he can take to APMC Mandi also. APMC Mandis are intact. They are governed by the State Act. The Central Act does not affect or does not say anything about APMC. So APMC channel will be there. In addition to that, you will find that there will be multiple possibility for farmer to sell their produce.
Okay.
Now
okay.
I come to the second law, that empowerment of farmer for price insurance and services agreement. You know, earlier we had a contract farming. In some state it was there, in some state it was not there, incomplete, not very transparent. Rights of farmers were not clearly defined there. So this farmer price insurance and service agreement is a vast improvement over whatever existing contract farming acts were there. Like State of Punjab has its contract farming act.
Okay.
Under APMC, states 15 state created provision for contract farming, but they were not comprehensive act. They did not protect interest of the farmers. They did not cover a large range of activities which have been brought under the contract farming. If I give example that there is a small holder, he can't have tractor, he can't have a good machinery, he doesn't have access to good seed, he doesn't have access to sometime knowledge that is available. So he can enter into contract with any agribusiness firm on mutual terms and conditions, and then take the knowledge, take the input, use the this farm machinery, etc.
Okay.
And sell the produce on the predetermined price, which again is subject to review in the interest of the farmer. If between the time of contract and time of sale of the produce, there is increase in price of the farm produce, then the review will be done and farmer will not be put to disadvantage. A price will be paid to him,
okay,
which will reckon the present prevalent condition in the market.
Okay.
This
okay.
will also let farmers to have contract with the processor. Right now, biggest complaint of processor that why agriculture processing is not growing or growing at a slow rate. The complaint was that we go to one market, buy 4 quintal of one quality, finished, then we go to another market, we buy 10 quintal, different quality, different maturity. So now the processor can enter into contract with the farmer. I want this quality, this variety, at this maturity, you grow it, you will get a premium price.
So it benefits both the processor and the farmer as well.
Pardon?
It benefits both the processor as well as the farmer.
It benefit both, and it will lead to large economic activities in rural area.
Okay.
That is what we are ignoring.
Okay.
Right
Professor,
now,
Professor Chand,
are importing concentrate from China and then selling it to us as a tomato puree, whereas our own tomato get rotten in large quantity.
Well, definitely
So
that is a very important issue there, and we'll dwell on it further in the show as well. But one more question, and a short one before we move on to Mr. Sinha and Mr. Das there as well. That is, how does these two bills impact the MSP system, the minimum support price system?
These two bills do not affect support price system in any way. Giving MSP or not giving MSP, procuring or not procuring, how much procuring, that is purely an administrative decision. MSP is not a law. MSP is decision of the administrative decision of the government. And Dahiya sahab, I would like to give you example that there is APMC in Punjab, but other than wheat and rice, if a Punjab and Haryana farmer sell his mustard, his chana, his any other commodity, do you think he got MSP? So MSP is a administrative decision. It has nothing to do with APMC.
Okay.
The second example I can give you is in Uttar Pradesh there are APMC, but every season we find hundred and thousand of farmers from Western UP taking their produce to Haryana, because in Haryana every grain is sold at MSP, wheat and rice, whereas in UP only recently some procurement has started. Earlier it was very weak. So existence of APMC does not guarantee MSP, and these new laws, they are the legal laws. They have nothing to do with MSP.
Okay. Let me bring in Mr. Alok Sinha here. Mr. Sinha, you've been with the ministry earlier. How, in your view, will these new bills, which are being, set to be the major reforms in the agriculture sector, impact the farmers as well as the sector as a whole and those other stakeholders who are involved with it, the processors and several others, as Professor Chand pointed out?
Well, to put it in a nutshell, the passing of these bills is like the 1991 movement for agriculture. What has happened is that the farmer has been freed from the legal majboori he had till now, that he could sell his produce only to a commission agent, or shall we say a middleman. In a way, this is the Kurian movement of Indian agriculture. When Dr. Kurian had sought to abolish the middleman from the dairy trade in Gujarat 50 years back, there was a hue and cry from the existing body of the beachwalas, because the beachwalas were losing their hold on trade. What is happening now today, while there is no doubt that the mandis in Punjab and Haryana, they run well, far better than UP, for example, as Dr. Chand said. But nonetheless, now the middleman is very scared. The Artiya is very scared that the farmer, were he to get a better price outside the mandi, he would go to the mandi. He would go outside the mandi. If he were to go outside the mandi, the Artiya loses his commission. The government loses its mandi tax, the state government. So you can see that in a way it is a coalition of the middlemen, the Artiyas and the state government, which is scared that the implementation of these two new farm laws, which are liberating the farmer, will be a big hit to the economic stranglehold that the middleman has on the mandis.
Okay.
And you can also see that this agitation is only in Punjab and Haryana. India has 29 states. In the other 27 states, there is no murmur of any protest, because there the middleman's hold on the mandi is not as much as in Punjab and Haryana. In Punjab and Haryana, it is institutionalized. So while they have done good service till now, I think the time in history has come to ensure that farming produce marketing moves to a higher level and the farmer is enabled to go wherever he can get a better price.
Okay. Mr. Sandeep Das, your views on these two bills and various aspects, as Professor Chand and Mr. Sinha are pointing out, in terms of, heralding a new era of reforms in agriculture sector.
Essentially, I must add here that as Mr. Sinha said, that most of the protests are happening in the state of Punjab and Haryana. You must say there is a background to it. But the transaction cost, the mandi tax and Artiya commission and other kind of cess imposed by the states, it's constitute about the Punjab earns out about 7,000 crore rupees around annually from these taxes, which is a transaction cost. About 8%, 8.5% transaction cost. Haryana is about 7% transaction. The rest of the states have more around 2.5 to 3.5% transaction. 8.5% is a huge transaction cost, and obviously farmers pays for the transaction cost. And the state revenue will be hit. And when you have a direct purchase mechanism, that transaction cost reduces. And we have an example here now. I'm talking of the first act, which is passed in the parliament today. Recently, about a couple of days back, there is a NAFED, there is a farmer producer have set up a mandi in Pune, Maharashtra, along with the FPOs. There is a separate mandi. So this first act, which allows private investment in the marketing part. It will take some time. It's not that tomorrow all APMC will be dismantled and all, but direct purchase will reduce the transaction cost and also allows farmer remunerative price, and farmers are free to go anywhere. And I must add you there that the delisting of the fruits and vegetables from APMC has been done in most of the states. Today, fruits and vegetables farmers can sell anywhere without going into APMC. And second act, coming to second act, and we live in a country where 30 to 40% of our cultivation done through this called tenancy farming.
Okay.
That is some kind of contact farming itself, basically. So this contact farming gives a legal. The second act gives a legal framework to that, and it doesn't talk about landholding at all.
Okay.
The apprehension is that the land will be taken out with the farmers and all. It's not that way. If a processor, Dr. Ramesh said, a processor can access the farmers directly, and the farmers can go the quality product, there will be win-win for all.
Okay.
And for that, you need a contact farming. There is a MOU, and this act has lot of regulation so that it's not misused.
Okay.
So both are very progressive legislation. Yeah.
Okay, since you also spoke about Professor Das about contract farming and the provisions in the second bill out there, and Professor Chand also mentioned that in his initial remarks, I'd like to go back to Professor Chand. Whenever we talk about reforms in the agriculture sector, one underlying theme which everybody talks about and wants to be ensured is to protect the interest of the farmers. Now, in these two particular bills, or the slew of reforms which we are talking about now, which these bills will bring, how fine the balance has been in protecting the interests of the farmers and also ensuring that the other stakeholders, let's not forget that obviously the processors and other stakeholders do have that much a stake in agriculture sector as the farmers have as well. So how has been that fine balance been ensured in these two bills? Professor Chand?
In the first bill, Dahiya, I would say that competition is the best protector of stakeholders, whether it is consumer, whether it is producer. If the farmer has only one channel to sell his produce, then he has no option. Whatever that market treat him as, he has to accept that treatment. But when he has choices, when he has multiple options, first that competition itself will protect interest of the farmer. People will approach the farmer that you give your produce at this rate and that rate. Secondly, if any dispute happens, first of all, this dispute thing is exaggerated. I gave example to people that more than 10 crore people in this country sell their milk daily. There is no APMC for that. Crop is sold only for 5 days in a week, 5 transactions by a farmer. Milk is sold in 150 or 200 or 365 days. How many disputes you have heard? And what kind of law is governing that sale of milk? Because there is competition, there are milk plants which are buying, there is a cooperative of people which is producer which is buying, there are private vendors who are buying. So you just find a competition. So I find that same kind of ecosystem and competition will come in the case of crops. Still, these are human transaction between two parties. If some dispute happen, it is the state machinery which has to deal with it. Okay. The institution of SDM, they have to deal with this mechanism, and this is how it will be addressed in case of Trading Act.
Okay.
Also, Dahiya, I want to mention, because your show is very important, I want right message to go. As Sandeep mentioned that after 2013, fruit and vegetable have been taken out of APMC Act by most of the states. But still fruit and vegetable are coming in APMC markets. This is an example that if APMC offer better service, people will reach an equilibrium. Some produce will go directly to private people, Mahagrape, Mahamango, those kind of institution in Maharashtra. But some produce will keep coming to APMC Mandi. It's not that it will not come to APMC Mandi. Secondly, but this denotification was earlier restricted to fruit and vegetable. The new Trading Act expanded to all the crops. That is the only difference. Okay. So previous UPA government said you sell fruit and vegetable anywhere. This government said, why only fruit and vegetable? Why not every crop that farmer is selling? So we have to understand that it is an extension and expansion of what was done by last UPA government, and now wider coverage has been provided. As far as second act is concerned, there is lot of protection to the farmer. In fact, business people, they were against it. They were telling us, if you keep this much protection to the farmer, we have to think twice before entering into a contract with the farmer. So they were putting their viewpoints. Like if somebody agrees into the contract, then for some reason, if farmer is liable, farmer back out from this contract, he will pay only what has been spent by a agribusiness firm, but has been paid to the farmer by a agribusiness firm in terms of input and services. But if the agribusiness firm needs into this contract, that firm has to pay 1.5 times to the farmer for backing out of the contract. So you just find that at every step, the interest of farmer has been adequately protected. The last point I want to make is whether Artiya will exist or not, what will happen to them. I still feel in Madhya Pradesh, they do not allow commission agent, but there are still commission agent there. They are there because they are providing some service to the traders, so they are there. So just to believe that they will go out of market is not true, but they cannot charge rent. They cannot charge money kind of things. If they are charging 2.5% commission, they have to tell the buyer or seller, this is the service we are providing to you, in lieu of which we are charging this kind of things. So you will find that in the new environment, things will not move to extreme that APMC will go only private. Some sort of equilibrium will be reached, as we have seen in many other areas, that with privatization, you just find public sector exists, private also exists, and this is how the best competition is achieved.
Mr. Sinha, would you agree to that stipulation there that, competition will take care of the interest of all stakeholders here? That's the underlying theme, as Professor Chand is pointing out. Ultimately, as time goes by, everybody will only take actions in their own interest, and perhaps competition will take care of that.
Yes, I would agree. In fact, I would give an example. Suppose I am a farmer and I belong to, say, Lucknow, and I have to take my harvest to the mandi till now. Now, on the other hand, from tomorrow, I'll have the right to take it to anyone else outside the mandi. Now, consequently, there will be a competition between the old commission agent in the mandi as well as the new potential buyer that I have located somewhere else. Between the two, whoever gives me better deal, I'll go to that person. So therefore, even amongst the commission agents, the better amongst them, the ones with more ethical practices, they are bound to bloom if they give better price than in the open market. Obviously, the farmer will still go to the commission agent. So therefore, it is not as if the commission agent is being killed forever. What is happening is that the commission agent will no more have the privilege of a totally subjugated market. The commission agent will now have to compete with someone else outside the mandi to give the best services to the farmer.
Mr. Das, your views on this aspect there? Competition takes care of the interest of all the stakeholders as far as provisions in these two new bills are concerned. And as Professor Chand was pointing out, this is nothing new. It goes further one step ahead of what was being done earlier for fruits and vegetables. Now it will be for all other crops as well.
And also today the biggest commodity, as Dr. Chand has said, that 8 lakh crore rupees worth of milk we produce, and they sold without the APMC because of the open competition between cooperative, private sector and our unorganized sector. So this will allow, the first act will allow in private investment. It will take some time to come, and the processing assaying facility will be there. Currently the assaying facility are not there, mostly not there. And it will, importantly, it will reduce the transaction cost. The amount of commission, particularly Punjab, Haryana, the transaction cost will reduce. And what will happen, the trigger, one of the biggest trigger will be that, because of the reduction, and this will allow even the processor to access commodity from their own state. Today, Punjab, Haryana processor floor millers go to UP to buy their produce. So tomorrow maybe they will produce, they will procure from their own state basically.
Okay.
And the second part also, it is the quality of product will increase because of the contract farming system. The processor will ask for the quality products. So this is a win-win for processor as well as the farmers, and the APMC will stay. APMC price improve, and there will be more professionalized. They will improve their activities, and both will exist basically.
Okay.
And most of them is more political, I think, and without any basis in the ground actually.
Okay.
This protest taken this particular.
Okay, so it's a win-win situation both for the farmers and the processors, essentially all the stakeholders there as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Sandeep Das, Mr. Alok Sinha, and Professor Ramesh Chan for bringing us the nuances and finer points of these two important bills which have been passed by both houses of parliament, constituting a larger portion of reforms in agriculture sector. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha television.